All right, guys, I want to talk today about faith again. Um, as I looked up some stuff about Ozzy Osbourne and how he was given a Bible, like, what, 2 weeks or something, someone had shared the gospel with him 2 weeks before he died or something. I was really humbled. I still don't know that he's saved. I mean, again, Hulk Hogan was way out there, like baptism was the best thing I ever did in my life. And I'm either all in or all out. And he was just like, I'm all in for Jesus. And that's an amazing testimony of his baptism, what, a year ago or so. I still can't believe he died from a heart attack because that guy was in shape. Even as an older guy, he was in shape. But, sometimes it runs in the family no matter what you do, no matter how healthy you are. I think you still can have a heart attack. I know it's run in my family. So, yeah, as I look at Ozzy Osbourne, though, the example I did get, obviously, many Christians would have thought, there was some demonic stuff, there was a lot of stuff in life that, he did that was crazy. But I have never really been an Ozzy Osbourne fan. When he came out with Black Sabbath, I thought it was dark, and that's when I wasn't even a Christian. I thought it was dark, and so I have never been a fan. And many people still worship him. I am not one of those. But the thing I did get from him, that I did learn from him, because I think you can learn something from every person in your life, is his thankfulness and humbleness that he had a Bible he could actually understand. Now, it's not an excuse if you can't understand the King James, Bible. There's tons of versions out there. There's books to help you study. But when I was thinking about this, I mean, it is hard to understand some stuff in the Bible unless you have a pastor explaining stuff when you first become a Christian. And this is why preaching is important, because you get to hear the word. So, how will they know God if they don't hear the word? How will they know if they can't hear the word? So he had talked about how he didn't understand that Bible, and definitely whenever you don't understand something, you can get on YouTube and find tools to help you understand. But his humbleness, where he was so thankful to have a Bible. I mean, that spoke to my heart. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been that thankful for a Bible. And then for him to be like, oh, to understand it, to be so excited he understands. I mean, that is something I think every Christian can learn from Ozzy, that he was someone who didn't understand God, and then the joy he had to understand some stuff. Also, he wore a cross. Have I ever worn a cross? No. Am I ashamed of wearing a cross? No. I just am not very into like jewelry and stuff like that. So I tend to be a little more private. But this guy went around as a famous person wearing a cross. What have I done for God? Right? It makes you think, what have I done? And someone shared that story in Luke where the woman who lived a life of sin, she got saved, and the Pharisees were like, hey, if you knew what kind of person this was, you wouldn't let her be touching your feet. And he's like, Jesus tells this story, and I love this story. If you have two people and they both owe debt to someone, one is like, $1 million, and one is like $4. And both of them are forgiven for their debt. Which one do you think is more thankful? Obviously the one who owes millions of dollars, right, is going to be more thankful. So the story, someone related this to Ozzy. Sometimes it's the people who have come from the worst situations in life, or the most darkness, that are the most thankful. And that was a faith builder for me yesterday, to listen to some stuff about Ozzy Osbourne and be like, wow, this guy was saying he was a Christian. And, I don't know what sense that was, but he even had said to a guy, thank you for sharing Jesus with us. Not the gospel, but Jesus with us. What an amazing, testimony of thankfulness that somebody was actually, happy to hear about Jesus. So, I do witness to people, and one thing I have learned from that when I witness is, and I thank God the other day, thank you so much. I am solid in you, Christ, because when you hear other people tossed to and fro, of different beliefs, and you're just like, thank you, I know you, God. And it makes you more thankful and humble that He chose you and He chose to give you this inheritance. A lot of times we look at people who think they are successful, and it's usually people who have money, and that is how they define success. Is that success? Is it really? Is it when you just totally like chased your dreams and pushed everyone else aside? Or is it sometimes a mother who has sacrificed over and over and over for her family, and she never gets ahead as financially in life because she's constantly sacrificing for her family? Is that not success? Is that success the people who serve others and help others constantly? That is my definition of success. It's not the people who, are up in corporate CEOs who have all these billions of dollars and they go live a selfish life. That is not my definition of success. So, again, once you see other people who are not saved or who need to be witnessed to, it is so humbling to be like, Lord, you gave me everything. You gave me the kingdom of heaven. You opened my eyes. You showed me truth. How humbling to be like, Melissa, you need to be even more thankful for everything you've been given. And again, Ozzy Osbourne, to be proclaiming what he did coming from somebody who doesn't really understand much of the Bible is amazing. So I was very humbled yesterday watching Ozzy Osbourne.